entertainment purposes only. Although I am a licensed clinician, I'm also just a person. I love to be able to be in my real life and speak from that point. And that's where this podcast is coming from. So enjoy.
Searching for truth, looking for answers. There must be a way to another day.
Hello.
Yo.
Welcome, everyone, to Keanvenient Truth. I'm Aaliyah.
And I'm Joe. And this is our 100th episode. 100th episode.
That's when you should put the burr, 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 burr.
Yeah, we've been working on doing some things, but it's just, it's crazy summertime, and you know how we go every summer. It's the same thing. We kind of take some time off. But, moving forward, I think we have some cool interviews and stuff being prepped.
Lining up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, but today we're just like kind of playing catch up, really. And, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we'll kind of go through what's going on in the world. And where do you want to start?
Sorry, I got like hair in my mouth. So annoying. I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Man.
There's a lot, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We could talk about what we were talking about last night, like the crop circle thing, or we can kind of go into like politics stuff, or we could just talk about parenting stuff.
I guess we'll talk about I kind of want to see people's thoughts. So if they hear this and then they can send us a DM or whatever. But I kind of want to hear people's thoughts regarding family chats and political stuff on the family chat. Because that was the thing that happened to us 4 days ago. I feel like it's got to be a common thing that goes down in people's lives. But I feel like there should be a general rule.
Well, what are you talking about? You're talking about a group chat.
So a group family chat. Now, meanwhile, the family is let's say my family, right? We have a family group chat that just consists of the Delermy family, right? So dad, mom, sister, nieces, myself. All right. Then, a son-in-law or a sister-in-law comes into the picture, right? And then they get added to that family chat.
I mean, so this is a new occurrence. I would
they're
say,
like the newbie now, in the chat. So everything that was happening in the chat prior to that person is going to continue to happen in the chat because nothing is really going to change. We've been doing this chat forever, right? The new person added to the chat, added to the family needs to be, I think, a little aware.
Well, hold on. New meaning what? When is it that person not new? You were talking about, so Aaliyah's talking about well, you're not blood. And I'm so basically I could be in this chat for the next 30 years and still there is a wall in which I cannot cross or whatever.
Again, you were the new person added into the Delermy family group chat.
This has been 6 years now.
We've been together longer than that.
Right. So maybe even longer.
But still, you're still the non-Delermy, a part of the Delermy group chat. They've brought you in, right? Now, the people in the group chat, like I said, boomers, etc., they like to kind of throw something out there, political stuff, blah, blah, blah. I don't really say anything about it because I don't comment on any political thing, especially when it comes to family stuff. I just kind of keep my mouth shut and just keep it moving because it's whatever to me. So, that's happened. But then you have someone such as my husband who's very, into speaking on political stuff.
Well, hold on. Also, I'm not injecting anything because, by the way, my family has a little group chat. Do you think that there's any kind of like that type of talk in there ever? No, we just don't. We that unless it's like something we
No, you don't.
that pops up, so we
And
do
I
talk
actually
about it.
do really, really like and appreciate the fact that, well, first of all, you guys don't really utilize that group chat a lot unless you guys have a different one without me.
I mean, there's one, but I don't know. It's like here and there.
Yeah, you guys never even use it, really. Like our group chat goes on just about every day.
Okay, and who's the one that is injecting the things that you don't want to talk about?
So the head person of the Delurme family.
So here's
who
hold
is-
on. Now this is where it gets different. It's not just a group chat. Now there's layers, there's reasons. It's this person can do this because this person is this person, and they're at this higher level, or blah 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 blah, and all these justifications. So it's not just a group chat. There's layers to it.
I just feel like there's
Mine's just a group chat.
There's unspoken just understandings, right? Like you're in a family group chat, you got a mom, you got a dad, you got this, you got that, you got boomers in there, right? You're like, like, so I just feel like there's like things that you just know going into the chat of like, all right, I mean, dad's going to probably say this and that's fine. I'm going to read it or not read it, and I'm not going to say anything either or, really.
I think you're just scared of those conversations. And I don't think clearly your dad posts some stuff in there and some things are political, and like he wouldn't do that if he didn't want like some sort of feedback. What do you think? He just like
Yes.
like throws up all over the place?
I think
and just
he
like,
does
this is
because
it?
my dad's an injector. And all my dad has done my whole entire life is inject things. He just I don't come back at it. No one in that group chat likes to really even talk about politics or cares to bring it up, probably except for my niece or something like that. But like if that was a chat with just me, my sister, and my mom.
Because you guys don't talk about politics outside of the group chat. So
Right.
why would you talk about it in the group chat?
Right. So then we have someone who's very much into that stuff and he wants us to be what he feels in his mind, knowledgeable.
Yeah,
So
no,
he's
I think
going
I
to
like a lot of the stuff that he
send
posts.
those things. I just feel like we need to just be able to look at that and just go, that's a cool thing. All right.
But what if it's not a cool thing?
I mean, if it's not a cool thing, then we can also just look at it and go,
That's not
whatever.
a cool thing.
That's not really that's not my place. Everyone has their own. And I just feel like when it's family, you really have to be really careful. It's just what I'm saying. Like I feel like it's a careful, weird thing.
It doesn't sound like, all right, first off, yeah. All right, it doesn't sound like I'm really the issue here. Because first off, I'm not injecting any of these things. I'm not like, if I was the one that was like, hey guys, did you hear about this fucking thing that's going on? Then yes, come to me and be like, Joe, listen, we don't talk about that stuff in this group. Can you please not inject that shit? I'd be like, okay, I get it. I'm not doing that. I don't ever post anything in that group most of the time. I kind of check on it every once in a while because it's like interesting. You guys post a lot of pictures and I like to see people and understand what they're doing and stuff like that. And that's it. I'll like this thing. I'll maybe say like, hey,
you'll post things about health or something, and that's you trying to inject.
No, not unless somebody is talking about like, oh, I've whatever had this issue for whatever. If somebody's talking about it, why are they talking about it? This is where my mind goes. Like, if you say something to me, you're saying it to me for a reason, right? So then I guess I'll just.
But they're not just saying it to you. It's like you're not the only person in the group chat, right?
Well,
they're just talking to everybody. They're just, putting it out there for everyone. And if this is something that you like, cool. If it's something that you don't like, cool. We don't have to always comment.
And this is where we get on the other topic of like, okay, so who's the one responsible for being that quote unquote bigger person to read the room and be aware of everything? So
you do need to read a room, though. Hold on. You don't really know how to read a room.
Hold on. So if you're saying like, all right, people are posting health things or whatever in this group or whatever. Now we're just using this group as an example, but you're saying people are posting health things in this group. Well, why aren't they responsible for understanding who's in the group and who they're talking to? And like everybody in your family knows me. They know that I'm going to say what's on my mind. So why do I have to be I'm not injecting a damn thing.
I don't think you are injecting a thing. I just think that you I appreciate the fact that you quite often have something to say. Okay. I do. I think it's great. I sometimes think it's even noble. It's wonderful. You're like, you're really into it. However, I just feel like with family, when there's complete opposite stuff going on, whether it's beliefs, this, that, I just feel like family needs to not speak about
But once again, I
politics.
think that you're just scared of the actual conversation because I don't know whether
Well, it
it's.
does make me nervous. It makes me nervous with those conversations because I don't want to see any strain in a family dynamic because of something in my mind as ridiculous as politics.
But me, well, if you just all right. But me and your dad have had a lot of these conversations already. I mean,
Yes.
can we talk about exactly what it was?
And oh yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right, all right. So I had like way before like the election of Trump and all this other stuff, I had my RFK Jr. sign out in front of the house for like 3 months, right? So there's that, right? Now he's HHS director, and now he's, you know, basically in there kind of seeing what's been going on, you know, from my perspective. And now he's come to the conclusion, it sounds like, that there wasn't a lot, the data had been skewed, you know, on a lot of these like studies and stuff when it comes to COVID. Um, and that's all he's saying. And then they're asking him if it's like, oh, did a million people die? Do you agree that a million people died? And he's like, I don't know. Maybe, but maybe not. I'm trying to figure that out right now. Right. And so I'm like, well, why aren't these senators like, well, why don't you know? How do we, what do you, what process are you going through? They're not like digging in and asking them those questions. They're like, well, you don't know it's a million? Then you're a fucking idiot. Right. So that was essentially the video that was sent to us. It was a clip from CNN via Aaliyah's dad. So all I did was put it in context. And instead of just the clip of the senator reprimanding freaking RFK Jr., I put the before and after and what RFK actually said, and it kind of made a little bit more sense, I thought maybe. And but I didn't say anything to the contrary of anything. I just said, hey, you know, instead of just looking at this clip, why don't you try to look at the bigger picture of like what was said within the whole, you know,
And
hearing.
I understand that. I'm not saying that you that I think you did anything. I understand what you were doing, and I don't think it was like, invasive or anything like that or abrasive. I just in my see this is where read the room comes in for me. For me, like I already know my dad's thinking and mom's and my whole family's thought process. So for me, I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's our thought process. I already know. It's basically like you're going into like the lion's den and it's like everyone's this way, but like really this way. So I get what you're trying to do, but I don't feel like it's going to be effective anyway because you're trying to do that with individuals who are all the way over here. And I don't think they're so open or willing to maybe even hear the other side. Which, to be honest, I think that there's lots of people like that in the world. I think that when people pick a side, they pick a side and no one's really willing to kind of hear anything else.
Well, my thoughts are like I treat everybody equally. Everybody is like nobody's smarter or better or one way or another. It's just a conversation, and you know, if somebody is like of the mindset of like whatever you want to call it, like really far right or really far left or whatever, that I don't even think about that shit. But if that is the case, then it took them years of hearing little bits from somewhere, right, to gather these thoughts and have this opinion on
So
things,
you're
right?
trying to be
So,
the
and I'm not saying
little bit of something to come into.
maybe not. I'm literally just talking. And if that's what it happens to be for that person over the course of the next 20 years, so be it, I guess. But I'm not like purposefully like, okay, so this person is really far to the left. So now I need to bring them back a little bit. So what can I say exactly to fucking
No,
make,
I don't think you're
it's like
doing that at
none of
all.
that shit. It's like, all right, I saw a situation. I was like, okay, this clip basically shows like, you know, senators making RFK look like a fucking shithead. For what reason? I don't know, because they're not really solving any problems or trying to get to the bottom of anything. They're just like, you don't know that it's a million? Well, all the studies that I've read is a million. So you're a fucking idiot. Well, I think there's more to it than that. So I just threw a little bit more in there. There was more to it. So we look
Yeah,
into more.
I get it. I just feel like when you know and you read a room
So if you get it,
and
then your
it's
dad
like
can get it too.
and it's like family, that's when I'm just like, I'm just gonna bow out because there's just no point to me for
Well, that's
anything.
giving up on your family, really, I feel.
Well, then I guess I wouldn't call it that because I'm not giving up on my family, but I do understand where they lie and how serious that is. And so for me, I'm like, hey, no big deal. Cool. That's, wonderful.
Maybe it's like some like from when your childhood memories or something of like your uncles and your dad or something having
You know what it
a
is
conversation,
that,
and you're like, you don't want, you have this like, ooh, I'm scared, I don't want that to.
and I very well could be scared. I think that what it is too is that, so when we were growing up, we were like, my dad's a liberal Democrat. So like, very, very much that, and then, you get older and you kind of find your own way in things and you just like, have your own thoughts, ideas, etc. And then you figure things out for yourself and you gravitate towards whatever you gravitate towards. I just so happen to be someone who's very much in the middle. Um, I don't really have any side because I do like see both sides of things. So it's hard for me to have, let's say, any kind of like, just even conversation with, let's say, my dad specifically. Because if I challenge anything that he has said, which I have, and now I'm just not doing that anymore,
Mm.
it becomes a huge thing. And I think with me, he gets like really, I don't know if he gets like offended or it's like the minute I challenge, I feel like I'm suddenly looked at as like one way. It's like the minute you challenge any kind of Democrat, you're suddenly MAGA. And it's like that's not what I'm even
Right.
it's not what I'm
Yeah.
even like saying. Like I just like I'm just like questioning things and challenging things. I don't understand why that has to be this like thing. So the reaction that I get and that I've gotten is a very high level reaction
Mm.
that now I'm like, I just don't like it. I don't want it around. I'd rather just never even speak about it and just keep moving on.
Well, sounds like you have to have a conversation with your dad because he's stifled your opinion on things.
I guess yeah.
Seriously. And you
Maybe.
just maybe outside, don't even talk about politics or anything. Just one day, just come to him and be like, listen, like this is where this comes from. And I'm kind of fearful of having these conversations with you, even though I have maybe sometimes different opinions, but sometimes the same. But like you won't even allow for that conversation to be had. But I almost disagree with that though, because remember we did have that podcast with your dad, and that was an extensive one. It was 2 parts, and we talked about
It
that
was
was right in the middle of
COVID.
COVID, right?
Yes, but again, I want to be clear. That was on a podcast being recorded.
Oh, because he knew that somebody was like,
That was also
people,
you were there. I think my dad is a pretty fair, like,
yeah,
level-headed person. I don't think he's like, but I do think that if I say something opposite or I challenge, his reaction with me, I think because I'm his daughter, is this like, what are you talking about? Oh my God, what are you? It's like this, like as though I'm now just like stupid, as though like what I just said
but you're
was this
not though.
completely uneducated, stupid thing. Like, oh my God, now you're listening to your husband, blah, blah. And then I get like that type of thing where it's like, I'm just like, I've just learned throughout the years with also being with you that like now I do hear a lot of just both sides. It's now because I used to be just very one-sided. Now I feel like I really do fit in the middle, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't. But when I'm with my dad, who has always been this like authoritative figure in my life, right?
Mm.
Then I think that that's kind of what makes me nervous because then he's like his like pitch gets like higher. He's very passionate about it. He's 74. It's like he's gun ho, and then it's like, how dare I? question anything that he is telling me, because he knows more, and he knows more than me in terms of politics anyway, which is accurate. I really don't know anything. So because of that, it's very like a belittling, condescending kind of tone. And I think that that's where maybe with you, he speaks differently because you know a little bit more, or you can back up stuff that you're saying. I can't. So I think that's where that comes from.
You know, this could also be like a cultural, not like within Puerto Rican culture or anything like that, but just an American cultural thing. Like there are a lot of, on both sides, you know, parents or, you know, whatever that speak like that, you know, to other members of the family. And that's why they've come up with that phrase like, what is it? Like the keep politics off the dinner table or something like that.
Yeah, keep it out.
But I think that's like dumb, because what politics actually is real life. Like what's happening, what decisions are being made on our behalf. Like, you know,
I understand that. And
so-
I think that if people can actually have really like rational, like, you know, understanding, cool conversations about it, they actually could be great conversations. But unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in. And so for me, it's not that, for me, it's not that important. You know, I guess what it is, it's just not that important for me to keep pushing on. Like I already kind of have something in my mind, and you know, like I listen to my own things, or I just don't, because I really don't give a shit. I really don't. I just live my life.
But that's what I'm talking about. The cultural issue here with this type of mentality, right, is someone who has had a more dominant political parent like you, who has kind of like shut you down, and then now you're kind of you've lived your life and you've seen things like maybe taxes and like property tax in Florida or whatever. Like these things kind of like actually affect you now, and you're like, hold on, this is the opposite of what my dad's been saying, or whatever it is.
Yes,
and
like when Obama was president, you know, and like everybody was so excited. My dad was so excited about him, blah blah blah. And I was living in Florida. He's in New York, and I remember calling him and being like, "Dad, this is bullshit. This Obamacare shit. Like this. I mean, like bullshit. This whole thing. My taxes fucking suck. My health insurance fucking sucked. They don't cater to the middle. They cater to the really rich or the really poor. This whole fucking thing is stupid." And he's like, "No, no, no. You know, it's always some excuse, you know." And I'm like, "But like." It's affecting me negatively. Like this thing sucks, you know?
So then you have your own opinion on these things, right?
Right.
And it's like, but you're still like, but so my whole point is like that kind of mentality and teaching of those types of conversations creates a whole group of people that are just middle of the road and don't ever make a decision either way, and don't like some of these things are black and white. Like you kind of have to pick a side, not pick a side, but like whatever you feel is right for you, right? And you pick it. You can't just stay in the middle the whole time, or other people make decisions for you, right? So that's the issue with the politics thing and being stifled.
Man, now that we're talking about this more, I'm really like, there is then this like underlying fear within myself pertaining to my family, or my dad specifically, in this political stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, it just hit me. And this is so typical too. This is like the story of my this is the story of my fucking life.
What
okay.
happened?
I don't want to disappoint him.
Yep.
Literally.
You don't want him to look down and you'd be like, I don't agree with you. You're wrong.
I'm a therapist and I just figured this out just now, years later. I don't want to disappoint him. My life has always been, I don't want to disappoint, right? Yeah. I want my dad to be proud of me, blah, 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 blah. So for me to like really like pick a side or talk about another side, like for me, I'm like, oh my God, I can't like do that with him because he's going to look at me differently, or I'm not going to be following something that he really believes in. And then he'll be mad at me. Like I'm like a kid again, you know, like, so
also the issue is like this coincides with like the time of us being married, like your transition of like going through and understanding the taxes and all these other things. So this just so happened to happen when we got married.
This is also the other reason why so not only do I not want to disappoint my dad, which I'm finding out now, but now have always been aware of the fact that I don't want my dad to not like you. So like
Me or like any of your
so for example,
exes.
like if my dad hears me challenge something or speak a certain way, then he's going to immediately think that that's because of you.
But that's also belittling too. That leads me to believe that he thinks that you don't have your own mind.
Oh
You know? Like you can openly say that I don't like force any kind of my thoughts on you at all. We disagree on all kinds of things. Obviously. I mean, you just watch all
yeah.
of our podcasts, right? But like in his mind, you might be right. I don't know that he thinks that maybe I am like
No, I
swaying
do.
you into a
I
certain.
actually know that because he's made comments and he said certain things like that. So he does think that you have swayed me in some way and that you've done this, but that would then insinuate that he doesn't think I have a mind of my own.
Mm,
Or maybe he'll flip it and it's like this thing of like, oh, well, no, maybe I'm just saying that because I don't want him to think that I don't have a mind of my own, but maybe that is the case. I'm going to have to confront him.
that's what I've been telling you. But it doesn't have to be angry or
No, of
bad or
course not.
anything. Like,
But I'm
you know,
going to have to confront just to kind of understand maybe that aspect of like, do you think that I can't think for myself or like, what's
right.
the.
Of course, he's not going to say that. He's not going to say.
Well, I would want him to be able to be honest with me. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but like I get it though. I also get it from his perspective though, right? It's like since we've been together, because like
This thing is.
yeah, just leave it like that.
Oh, okay.
we need to get new ones.
It's like a limp penis.
That is. No, just leave it like that. There you go.
Okay.
My thing is like I try my best to empower people and challenge people, right? So like I challenge you all the time on your thoughts, and sometimes I might even like agree with you, but like still kind of like challenge a little bit just to
Yeah,
kind of
no one's
see.
ever.
You know what I'm saying?
There, there was no challenging in my household
it's
because
being
it was
told
always
like
just
this is what
this is what it is.
Right. So you've experienced this like whatever, however many years we've been together of like somebody that's just challenges you, then you come up with your own ideas on however you want
Right.
the rest of it to play out, right? And you got this is like
Oh my gosh, that's the hair that was in my mouth.
oh yeah, it was just hanging there.
Nice.
So yeah, like and I love to watch you like go through that process. That's a show I like to watch, you know. But yeah, it sounds like you got some things going on.
Clearly, I have some deeper fucking shit. Yeah.
Because you come at me, you know, like I did something wrong or I'm not allowed to freaking like just say something.
Well,
I'm
look,
like, I didn't say anything
I will
horrible.
say, I do think that politics should be left out of family conversations. I do actually firmly believe that because I just think it's. I just want it. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just not talk about it. You could talk about it with your friends, whoever the fuck you want to talk about it with. Blah 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 blah. There's lots of people to talk about it. It doesn't have to be come up in like a fucking family dinner.
Okay. I think in the past, that's been the most important part. You know, like is this affecting our family right now, right? These laws or whatever is happening, not to the extent of like overly obsessing about it, but like some things actually do directly affect us, right? So I think it's nice to have those conversations to see which way we want to go as a family, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's when it gets emotional. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. So within this group, and I don't mean to put your niece on blast really, but like I just like created context and I didn't say anything to the contrary of whatever your dad posted or anything, right? And your niece posts pure evil. And I'm like, really? That you went like to there just from like having just looking at the context, and then she posts something else about like how RFK was like what the fuck I forget what she said,
but he's just not qualified, and that's
yeah,
the whole point.
or whatever.
But I mean, like, so this is my point. My point is that like there are people who can I think come at these conversations very like even keel. I'm open. I'm open to hearing whatever you have to say, whatever I have to say. Let's have that conversation. But then there's people who I just struggle to do that because it's a really heated conversation.
Yeah,
There's a lot
some
of
people you
passion
can't.
connected to
Some
it.
people you can't.
And I think it's because I know that that can happen in my family. That's what also makes me nervous. That's why I'm like, it's just not gonna. This is not gonna be like a very even keel conversation. Even at times when I've heard you and my dad speaking,
Mhm.
let's say I've been in the kitchen and you guys are like outside and I hear you and I've heard my dad's like voice get
Mhm.
raised. It like gets me like, I'm like, oh God,
But think about
Jesus.
this, like just like in therapy, right? When somebody is learning something that they've never learned before, or they're doing things or having conversations that are bringing up these emotions,
Mhm.
it always gets like that. They're like, oh, I can't, no, this is fuck. I don't want to talk about this anymore, right?
Right.
It's the same shit. They, I believe, need to go deeper on the, when it comes to politics, a little deeper on the topic, the substance of it, the context of the whole big picture of whatever the topic is, for them to truly understand, as opposed to getting so emotional and just like shutting it off. Like, here's the soundbite, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
This is what I know. And then if you're trying to go further than that soundbite, well, fuck you, you're an idiot. That's when I know they don't know. That's when I know that they haven't done the actual research, because they shut it down.
But that
And
actually wasn't, I mean, I will say though, I feel like my niece came back in a very, she was,
well,
I was actually kind of shocked for how she came back. I was like, damn, I didn't even realize that she could actually speak that way. To be honest, I was like, wow. I was
I
like,
honestly, I would have loved to continue that conversation, but that was the point where you were just like, don't say
don't say
anything, blah, blah,
anything.
blah. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, fine. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I was fine with it. I could have had a calm conversation. But my whole
You know
point,
what it is? I'm sorry to cut you off. I just think that I do just need to let you be you. I think that I think that I do certain things also because I try and like, because I know how some people can take you. Like they can like you can come off as certain things in certain ways. And I don't want people to have those opinions of you. So it's essentially me also trying to like prevent that from happening when I think I just clearly just need to just let you be who you are. I mean, I fell in love with you. Nobody else needs to love you, you know, like be in love with you like that, right? I also just don't want to have to defend.
mm. But meanwhile, I've also like learned a lot from you as well on like communication and like, you know, how to read the room and like make sure, I know who I'm talking to and stuff like that. Like, so I always like keep that stuff in mind, but I'm
You
also,
still struggle with it though. The other day at fucking Starbucks, we're like sitting outside. This is this like old man comes. He's
we're
clearly
literally in the
not.
middle of a
We're in
conversation.
the
He's
middle of
a
a
table
conversation. It's a
over.
beautiful day. He's at the table next.
We're
I
clearly like
see him
on a date.
staring. I see him staring at us, and I'm like not making eye contact. I see him from the corner of my eye. We're just talking. Then he gets up, comes over, and now he's trying to suck us into this like I don't even remember what the fuck he was talking about, but he was blabbering. It was a lot of just like it was a lot. And so when something like that happens for me, like I read the room. And in that moment, I'm not engaging. And I'm not engaging because one, I want to stop this conversation. I want to get the fuck out of here. Like now I feel stuck. Nope, gotta go. But if I engage, now you're going to think that I want to have this conversation with you and I really don't. So in that moment, I'm like, ah,
Well, then that's
right?
treating somebody
And I'm
like a
just
little
like,
baby.
well, he, I couldn't treat him any other way.
He wasn't saying anything horrible.
He wasn't saying
I
anything
think it
horrible,
was
but
his
he
like
definitely was
etiquette.
not of a stable state of mind. He was definitely completely somewhere else. Like this
I
was
mean, I
like
wouldn't say he wasn't like, it was like rational conversation, but it was like weird because he just like injected himself, you know? And when something like that happens in my life, I kind of try to just go with it
Joe,
because
this
like
is
it
where I'm
just
gonna trump you.
happens.
Joe, like they're like I know unstable, like in terms of mentally well.
Well,
Like
I'm not saying he
he
wasn't, but I'm just
absolutely
saying,
wasn't. So in those situations, not on duty, you know, like I'm not going to sit there to have a conversation because one, I have to get to work, and two, I really don't want to be in this conversation right now, you know? Like I was just having a day enjoying my time. This one, you want to be like, oh, well, you know what you should do? Have you heard of what? Ibogaine or some shit, you know?
Oh yeah, he's trying to quit smoking.
Try to
So
quit smoking.
I was like, oh, you should look
Have
into
you heard of
Ibogaine.
Ibogaine? And then he's like, oh no, what's that? And now it's this whole and now I'm like,
Maybe-
now you have sucked us into this fucking conversation that clearly you want to get out of,
Aaliyah,
and I want to get out
you
of.
don't know that maybe he went home and he did that research, and maybe he's gonna go do Ibogaine, and then we'll see him again at the Starbucks in like 2 years from now and be like, you saved my life. You helped me quit fucking smoking cigarettes because I did Ibogaine. Who knows? My thing is like the universe works, energy flows, right? And his energy just so happened to flow into our lives that day. So I see where I want to see where this is going. But at some point, I would have been like, okay, well, you know, if I was like giving him information and it wasn't really a back and forth, it was more like him, then I'd be like, okay, we have to go, you know, or whatever it is.
If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have gotten out in that situation.
Yes, I would have. I would have easily.
You would have been in there having a conversation with this guy that you didn't even want to have.
Yeah, but my thing is, I can get out of it whenever I want. I can be like, listen, I'll be more blunt than you would ever be. Like I could sit there and he could be telling me, and then if it got to a point where he's just like, oh, my cigarette smoke, blah 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 blah, then I'd be like, all right, listen, hey, I understand, buddy. Great, I'm sorry this is happening to you, but listen, I have to go. And I would just like stand up and walk away. Like I could do that at any fucking moment, right?
So then let me ask you this then. Because you kicked my leg under the table. You kicked my leg.
You kicked my leg first.
You kicked my leg.
Oh, I kicked your leg thinking it was funny, I think.
Okay.
I was like, look at this guy.
Okay. So when you kicked my leg, that immediately to me was like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Oh, no.
Because that's why I kick your leg to tell you to shut up and stop talking. So whenever I kick your leg,
yeah,
and if you're talking, it's because I'm basically trying to tell you.
No, I understood
stop talking.
I understood that.
Okay, yeah. So I misread your leg kick to me.
I didn't remember kicking you, but maybe I might have been like,
you
hey,
went like that,
fucking guy.
And I'm not thinking, this fucking guy. I'm thinking, oh fuck. This is like, we're about to get caught up in this shit, and I just don't feel like it now.
But when those things happen, you have to like open up to the universe and be like, why is this happening? Why us? We're attracting.
But it's always us, Joe.
This is our responsibility. This is our responsibility.
It's always us. I'm on an airplane. Someone's opening up their whole life to me. You guys have no idea. I have been, if I could tell you that one conversation, this is from probably about 20 something years ago, sex addict. Met him, sat next to him the whole way from fucking France back to fucking New York.
Did you start dating
told
him
me,
after that?
no, this is a different sex addict. Told me about his whole life. He's married, has a kid, but he's a sex addict. He told his wife, blah blah. I didn't ask, guys. I don't ask.
But guess what?
I'm very much like I sit there, I'm quiet, zoop, I'm in the zone, I'm watching something.
So you weren't
giving
him any feedback on any of this information?
Okay, so this is what happened. I'm going to tell you. I'm sitting there watching my screen, minding my own business. I stopped something for a second. I went to turn around, and now he's like, oh, yeah, so I mean, like, this day has been so nuts. And now he's just like divulging this information. Lo and behold, now, as we're talking, I'm like, this guy's a sex addict. And then he already knew he was a sex addict. So now he's telling me he's a sex addict, and all the women that he's having sex with that he can't stop having sex with. But he wants to keep his wife, but not in any way, shape, or form did I say, hey, what's going on with you today? Not at any point did I ask that fucking question. I asked that question at work.
You know what?
Not at any point did I.
You know what?
And I never ask that question to people when I'm not in work. The only people I ask that question to are, hey, how's it going today? Dad, how's it going today? My daughter, how's it going today? I'm not asking random strangers how the fuck it's going.
You have to see it as a lesson. There's something in there. Like maybe the lesson for you was like, all right, here's your opportunity to create a boundary if you want. You could just be like, listen, I'm sorry you're going through this, but I need to focus on the show and I'm really tired or whatever the fuck it is.
So you're telling me that this happens to me then? This happens to me all the time. This is not just a one-time airplane flight, right?
Yeah.
All the time. You're telling me that in those moments, it's the universe trying to teach me a lesson.
Well, if you did,
The universe knows what the fuck I do for a living.
well, if you learn that lesson, you would figure out a technique of like when that happens and you don't feel like talking to them to relate to them like, hey, I'm sorry, or whatever you're going through this, but like I'm really like I'm a psychotherapist and I hear this all the time. I'm really sorry. I don't mean to offend you or anything, but like I really need to like or whatever the fuck it is.
You know what?
Right?
I think you're right. I think that actually, as I'm thinking about this, because so I never I never ask the question or anything like that. People just talk to me.
Yeah, you're torturing yourself.
But then in those moments, then like I have said like, I'm so sorry I have to go. You know, I have said stuff like that. Like, I'm so sorry I have to leave. But on an airplane or in a situation like that, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And for me, just to say something like, I'm sorry, I really don't want to have a conversation right now. Although it's a boundary and it's a healthy one, I feel bad saying that.
Yeah.
So maybe this is something that I need to then. I'm learning a lot about myself in this conversation today right now. Jesus Christ, my gosh.
Maybe that's it.
So this is why it keeps happening.
I always take those opportunities as like something like that guy. I don't know. We didn't really fully vet it out, but you know, hopefully, maybe he just needed somebody to talk to for a second, and we have that energy of like openness of like come on in and like have a conversation.
He did need someone to talk to. I mean, clearly he was by himself. He was telling us that he never that he hasn't come here in God knows how long. So Lord knows what's going on. He's retired, newly retired, right? So yeah, there was stuff. Like I get it.
The only thing that annoyed me is he's smoking a cigarette though.
Right in my face, right in our faces.
And I was so glad that it was like basically done and he finally finished it, but that was his problem. He was talking about that. He was actually shitting on himself.
He was shitting on himself, and I didn't really quite like that either.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to get into a therapy session, so I didn't say anything. You know what I'm saying? See, that's my boundary. My boundary is like I don't want to have this conversation with you, nor do I want to work right now. I don't. You know, I just want to enjoy my fucking chai that I'm drinking.
And we were clearly in like a date mode. Like I had my arm around. We were the sun. We had his table was literally like freaking 7-8 feet away from us, and he's just like
inject.
Yep. And was like, hey, and then I actually did try to I was just like whatever, and talking to him, and then I kind of avoid. But then he came over.
No, he came
as we were ignoring him.
You know, right? That's why the ignoring didn't work. It didn't work because we were like,
But then that's when I embrace it because I'm like, okay, I already put out the energy that I didn't really want to, but he's still coming, so there's something here. So let's vet it out.
So this is the thing that I feel like is happening to me, and I'll tell you why. I also do what I do. I feel like the universe, and this may sound like really, I don't know what it's going to sound like, but narcissistic, I guess. I have no idea, but I feel like the universe does this shit to me because the universe knows what I do for a living. Mm-hmm. They know that that's just what I like to do anyway. They know that I just naturally love to have conversations and help people. Like just truly, I just love to do that. So they find these people, they have these people inject themselves into my life in moments where I'm not at work because they're not going to call me or call anybody to go to a therapy session.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, what about this opportunity? But it's like, I never want those opportunities. I don't want to take the opportunity. I don't want
to
have the conversation.
This could be your out, right? In some of the, like at some point in that conversation, we easily could have been like, oh, we actually own a mental health practice.
Could have.
Yeah. But as soon as we say that, this person could either be like, you really like, because I've actually been looking for somebody to go to, and then, okay, well, here's our card and give us a call on Monday or whatever, right? Or if they're not and they're like trying to avoid or whatever, then they're going to just leave after that.
No, or they'll keep speaking. Or they'll keep speaking. Do you know how many people who
keep speaking?
Yes, because people love free fucking therapy.
Free therapy.
People love free therapy, especially if they want therapy. Free therapy? I don't have to do shit. I have two.
But then
I have a coach and a psychotherapist in front of me right now who own a therapy practice. I can just divulge.
But then that's where the boundaries come in. That's when you give them a little bit of information, whatever they're looking for, and then be like, well, listen, if you wanted to go any deeper, then we would kind of have to set up a session or something like that. Boom. Done. We either got a new client or they're just going to be like, okay, thanks for the information. You know, there's ways through this, but
I'm going to have to figure out what I have to do in these situations because they happen too often.
I embrace it. I like it. I think that, you know, those types of people, they need something, some sort of energy transfer from me at that moment or whatever. And
It's so weird too because I literally ever since I feel like no, because my face when I'm sitting by myself or something like that is not like I feel like I'm not like a person that you just want to walk up to, but
you
maybe.
used to not be, but now you are,
Hmm.
because you didn't smile a lot when I first met you, right? I
Hmm.
was always telling you, just smile. Let me see your teeth. Now you smile with your teeth all the time. And it's a different energy that comes off of you now.
Thanks. No, it feels better.
So I don't know. Do you want to get into something else?
What about those crop circles?
You
Hell
want to talk
yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I think
All
that
right.
people need to know about this fucking story. Like, why don't
Okay.
people know about this? This is insane.
Okay. You know, I already forget the name of the document. Oh no. F- Field of Secrets or something like that. It's a documentary.
Where? Where do you watch it at?
It's on YouTube. Let me just try to find it real quick. I think that's what it's called. YouTube. So it's this documentary about crop circles. Hold on. What did I just say? Field of
Field
Secret.
of something.
Field of Secrets, I think. Crop circle. I
Yeah,
think
I mean, that's the first one that
something
popped
like
up.
that.
So let's see. Field of Secrets, right? Is that it?
Yeah,
It's
that's
50
the full
minutes long.
documentary. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, so this long story short, the producer of this, and this came out in like 2011 or some shit,
Oh, wow.
and so he grew up in this town in whatever, somewhere in like the UK or whatever, where there was crop circles all the time. Where this is where you see these pictures of all these crop circles. He grew up in that town.
Oh, that was
So
in the UK. I thought it was
oh,
always in places like Iowa.
no, I wouldn't say. I don't know where it is, but they got like the Stonehenge and all that other shit over in that area, wherever the fuck it is, right? But so he grew up in that town. Long story short, then he moves to like LA, becomes this like film producer or whatever, does all these different movies or whatever. And then now he's like coming back and he's like, I want to do a documentary on these crop circles that I grew up with. And he goes back and like people are just like used to it. They don't know. A lot of people think it's like hoaxes or whatever. So, anyways, he finds these people that are doing the hoaxes, and it's like this old guy. And he really, once you really study these crop circles, it's like you can tell whether it's a hoax or not if you go in and look at the crop circle, because you can see if they were just like stepped on and bent and
Yeah.
moved around.
Or if they're very, like, everything is detailed
Well,
and tight, like, that's when you're like, okay.
that's when it's like precision,
Yeah,
and it's like a quote unquote real crop circle. And also there's something that happens. There's nodes in the crops. It's like a bump area. Like if you ever look at a rose, there's like bumps, nodes. That's what they call. And in the quote unquote real crop circles, those nodes blow out because they're heated from the inside, and it just bends over. Right. And actually the crop still continues to grow after that. So it doesn't actually damage the crop. But if you break it, then they're all dead in that area, right? So they find out all the differences between like real crop circles and like the hoax ones or whatever. Anyways, then he gets to the point where he's just like, I don't know where these are coming from. He does like stakeouts and shit like that, and stays overnight for multiple days with watching and shit like that. Isn't really finding much, and these things just like show up out of nowhere, right? So then he gets to a point in the documentary where he's like, I don't really know what more to do here. And then he finds this other guy in Hawaii who is kind of doing the same type of research. But what they discover at the same time is that now this is going to sound crazy, but the crop circles themselves, an engineer actually took the 2D image and put it onto a computer and then rotated around its axis to create a 3D image of it, and then discovered that some of these crop circles are actually parts to a machine. And then
mind blowing.
this producer collaborated with an engineer who was like already on top of all this stuff and was already starting to like work on this shit. They put their resources together and start actually making these parts. And guess what? The parts started to fit together. It's fucking wild. So then years ago, they start building this thing, and it's like maybe I don't even know how many parts, but it was something like 10 to like 15 crop circle parts or whatever that they were putting together. Then they get to a point where they're just like, holy shit, this is like some sort of machine and it runs on like just water.
Right?
Yeah. Like literally like saline water. And they get to a point where they're building it and they're actually having a plasma fucking energy electrode come out of this thing. The problem is, it's just a producer and some random fucking engineer working out of his fucking house, and they had to outsource some of the parts or whatever, and they never finished. They weren't able to put it together because they ran out of fucking money 5 years later. And now the thing's just like, it's sitting there. They're like, they were at the end of this documentary, everybody's just like, we just can't do this anymore because I'm just a producer. I'm not a fucking like NASA scientist here, right?
So what's crazy about this to me, and this is why for me this is mind-blowing, is because so you have these crop circles, the real ones, right, that basically are turning out to be these like parts, and all of these different crop circles, all these different parts, when you actually make them, they start fitting together to create something else, whether it's a machine, a message, I have no idea, right? So now, because they couldn't finish it, they got, pretty far, but now there's no one else that's picking this up.
And then I did research. I'm like, it's been like 15 years. Like somebody had to have
No one, no one
funded this
else
or
seems
something.
to be picking this up. No one wanted to, I guess, continue to fund this. And so now we're just left with a dot, 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 dot at the end of it, because I'm like, this could be a message from another world. This could be a message from a whole other place. And meanwhile, here we are, just the news is like, oh, this crop circle, this is dumb, right? And no one's giving it any power, any weight, but it's actually trying to fucking tell us something, that could probably, I don't know, maybe change the world, maybe help us. We have no idea. And now it's just there.
Yeah.
And now we just don't know.
That's it.
And we're just, that to me is crazy.
I think of like that I was telling you, the Interstellar movie, how like he was sending messages to the past or the future or whatever through like the gravity or whatever. So maybe something like that. Maybe there are like many dimensions, and like there's entities or energies that are like trying to send us messages to further humanity or something. I don't know. But I thought it was like kind of wild because I went into it like I kind of like didn't know the whole story, and I was like, crop circles, and I was just like fucking around. I was just like, all right, I'll watch this hour-long documentary, and then I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like it, and also I wasn't a big fan about like how like he actually directed the movie. There was a lot of like joking, which was kind of weird because I think he's the actual producer is like kind of like a nervous kind of like jokey person. So it kind of put a little weird energy on it, but he did discover a bunch of stuff, and he figured out how people were doing these like fake crop circles, and you could tell the difference just by looking. And then like,
but also my thing is this, like when the crop circles were when because I remember when the news was covering them. Like I was young. I was a kid, but I remember when they were covering them. That I do. And I remember watching them, and it was just too big for my brain to really understand. But now thinking back on it, I don't understand how anyone older than me in that moment, right, or anybody else could watch that and just be like, oh, that's nothing. Like, how do you go to bed, you farm, you go to bed, there's nothing in your crops, wake up, you didn't fucking do it, to the most intricately detailed, precise fucking pattern huge in your crops. That doesn't make any sense.
Like multiple football fields.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So it's like, I don't understand how this was just like, people just stopped even talking about this and it just went away. Like,
because they couldn't figure it out, you know? And like the people that own these like farms and stuff, they're still like, I don't know, they're just used to it now. They just like show up and they're just like, yeah, that happened. But it doesn't like fuck their farms up or anything. So they're just like, okay, well, we're still getting the same harvests or whatever. So they just let it happen. But
so it's interesting to me. Like, who will just say whatever is doing this, right? And making these very elaborate circles and doing all these patterns, right? If it's a message, let's say, and they've been sending these messages for God knows how long, and yet no one's doing anything with it now, right? Like, I wonder if they're like, oh, we're just gonna keep sending them until one day, hopefully someone, right? Or it's like,
yeah,
because
maybe it's on like automatic like repeat or whatever, and they're just like, you know how like I don't know if you knew this, but like when we like send satellites out into not satellites, but like whatever they are, fucking drones or something, like to go research like other planets like Neptune and shit like that. They're these like satellites essentially that they send out right from NASA. Within those whatever satellite rockets or whatever the fuck they call them, they usually put some sort of like information in there, some coded information about humanity and stuff like that, right? So like maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is like some energy or something that has like just been happening forever and it's just constantly being sent.
This was in Germany, that one.
Yeah. I mean, they're all over the place, but yeah, in this particular
are they still happening? Because that was 2011. Are they still happening today?
Yes.
And are they happening in the United States?
I don't know exactly where they're happening, but
that's something that I would like to know, is like where they're happening now.
Yeah, it's a while. But then and then I've also kind of been getting into the whole you know, the Egyptians and like the timelines of like when these things were created. Now they found all this other stuff underneath the pyramids, right? And we've done a podcast on that. And then now they're finding all these like tunnels and stuff all under the plateau there. And it's I'm almost kind of convinced that there has been another even before the Egyptians, I think, found those pyramids. Like they were already there many years before, because the quality of those builds are superior to what they were doing at the time.
Well, and how they also speak about how they were put together in these fucking history books.
Yeah, with like gods and all this other shit. It's like,
I'm like, that's how.
The way that they tell, they're dragging like
this
100-ton
heavy ass
stones.
shit. Okay, like
we can't even do it now. And then the other thing that really gets me is, I don't know if you've really looked into this either, but the way that these stones are put together are like they're like melted together almost. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Let me try and pull one up. Well, this one's pretty wild too. We'll go into that in a second if you want to keep going with this. Man, where the fuck? I know I saved something here. But the stones are literally, it's almost like these huge, like 10-ton stones were melted so that they exactly fit together. It's crazy. See, now every time I'm gonna like talking about something, I can't find what I want to show you.
I mean, how many things pop up on this feed?
Oh my god, all kinds of fucking
things.
Anyways, all right, so then we'll get into this other one then that I do have here, which is, you're gonna be interested in this.
No, it's up more.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay, so actually, even this, we'll pull this up real quick.
Oh, this is in India?
Okay. All right, there we go. So here, yeah, in this particular, I mean...
What? No, this one's in India, they said.
Okay, but look at like
It's
the
laser cut, they said.
precision,
That's
like on
laser
that.
cut.
And this is like 10,000 years old or some shit. You know, we didn't have lasers then.
Yeah, how the fuck are they gonna? And what tools are they using for that? What do they get that like?
Right. So then these guys are in this other area that is like
This is underneath
We're gonna get
the
access
pyramid
to
or
one
no?
that's not normally open to the public if we can hurry up down here after.
yeah, it's in a
It's a very small gap.
underneath one of the pyramids. I think.
You wanna go right or left?
Restricted area. Now there's no light. They put in lights down here, obviously. I think back in the day there was no lights down here. There's no burn marks from like flames.
Yeah, fields.
Right? Look at this.
Being generated by the doorways with the
Footage. It
vibration of
looks like they're
Hathor, which
transferring
is
like
representing the sound and vibration.
consciousness.
Moving in, look at this
Brain to
multi-dimensional aspect, like the geometrical keys.
It's not, God damn it.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to like pause it on. All right, see.
That's
you
like
go.
crazy.
Hold on. And then they got the. They don't show the tubes going in the top. So there's like. Why does this keep popping up? There's like tubes coming in the tops of these, and it's like they're moving the consciousness from these two to these two or something. But yeah,
Lord
if we would
knows
just
what
play
they're
it, then
trying to say.
It has something to do with harmonics, or
Yeah, I'd say like cymatics.
Cymatics, yeah.
Absolutely.
It looks like you got all of the significant patterns that turn up.
Yeah, we have the feather.
Yeah.
Denoting communication for these. Watch your step, watch your step.
Yeah.
That's right.
I watched this one.
Well, keep in mind how dark it would have been in here.
Yeah, see.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we have fortunate because we got some light going in here, but you have to wonder. It's not like they could just reflect light in here like a mummy movie. I mean, it was, and you couldn't
Watch the.
Over here, you're going to notice there's like a double version of them. You see that? The two faces, the second outline around them.
Mm-hmm.
Some might say this is like the Atlantis story. So you see there's like some giants. And you might also say this could be the dynastic Egyptians kneeling before them, wanting to receive a great gift. So yeah, you could look at this and say this is a light bulb. But it's also a lotus bowl.
right.
And this is a field of energy. So the serpent changes. I want you to notice something. The bends in the serpent are going to change. They're going to change from this wall and how they are to this wall in these various processes. You're going to see this figure in the middle. This is a very significant figure in the Egyptian pantheon. This is Hay, and he represents eternity or immortality. And something these two gentlemen can tell you all about is we see this way the raising of the Djed pillar. Now, we might say that traditionally this is the spinal column or the Kundalini being risen in Osiris. And we see the serpent bends again changing as it's being received. And over here, furthermore, you see the vibrations of Hathor. Well, look over here in this sort of Atlantean story of the pre-dynastics rising up. We see over here like a figure that you find over in our cosmogony and our story that we find even at Hermeopolis. There's different creation stories and cycles. Look at this reptile-like race or frog-like race with these sculpting blades, almost as if it's sculpting creation. And again, we see the pillar has risen more. These folks are sharing knowledge. They're growing.
I think that one of my interests in this.
I mean, it's fucking wild shit. But
First of all, I'm still stuck on the fact that all this stuff was supposedly hand carved, right, into this stone in the dark. I'm still confused. I'm still confused.
So listen, whatever these guys are saying, who knows? But
Wow.
just looking at these images, like why
Like,
would they
mind
put
blown.
these there? It doesn't make any sense. I don't. This was the part that I wanted to like. Can you even see when they first come in? See these?
Oh, right there. Yeah.
See, it's like
yeah.
coming in from this other device over there. from this thing, and it's shooting up and going into each one. Anyways, there's definitely a lot going on over there, and there was technology that was way far advanced than what we know. Anyways,
If these are other messages, right, that are trying to come to us from far back when, I wonder how long they thought it would take for
probably not this long. They
us
probably
to
didn't think,
figure it out, right? I feel like they were like, it's not going to take that long.
like they're probably like what the fuck?
Like,
These guys haven't figured
fucking
this shit out
idiots
yet.
still haven't fucking right.
We're sending them the diagrams in the fucking crop
in
circles.
the crop circles. They got the fucking. They have the
We got
pyramids. We have all these
the
messages
pyramids.
for them.
We wrote it out
It's
clearly
not
for them.
that difficult.
Fucking idiots.
Dumb.
Maybe
So
it's from the fluoride. Maybe that's why we can't figure it out. I don't know.
Oh man, that's
There
good.
could be something behind it. I don't know. Yeah. So there's that stuff. It's a lot to digest, and you really gotta like dive into it to really, for some of it to start to make sense. It's there's a lot of these books. There's like the Book of Enoch. I don't know if you ever heard of that. These are books that were actually taken out of the original Bible because they have mentions of these types of events that happen in this technology that was from a long time ago. So they were like, we got to cut this shit out, make the whatever, the fucking New Testament or whatever.
Right.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Thousands of years later.
Dumb as shit.
I don't understand.
Still haven't figured out anything.
Yeah. But I think there is a tipping point for all this like technology and knowledge where, like that 100th monkey theory of like when a certain amount of people understand this and believe it to be true, then it just like carries over to everybody, and everybody's just like one day like, oh, that is like self-driving cars. That was fucking even like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. We were like, yeah, that's fucking 30, 100 years from now. Nope, it's actually happening right now. And next year, probably, you're going to have every taxi you see is going to be self-driving, So it's like enough people. It only has to be a certain amount of people to like really push it over. And then everybody's just like, oh, this is a thing now. So
Right.
Who knows? Who knows what the future holds and what we're going to be doing in 5-10 years from now, especially with like AI and all this new technology. And if they keep digging in the desert out there, I'm sure they're bound to find some fucking shit that is going to blow everybody's mind, and they're going to have to rewrite history probably.
I mean, I feel like isn't history already kind of being
for some depending on but this is the other thing with like humans that I always like think about is like we're always trying to like justify and like understand things from like what we already know, but maybe we don't fucking know, and that's why we have to be open-minded to like looking at like maybe this is something that nobody's ever seen or done before, so like we have to think from a different way. We can't just think from what we already know, because that's how you change. That's how you same thing with the political chats in the conversations. Like, all right, so if somebody is one way, they're only going to know that one way unless you inject some other information outside of their bubble, right? So that's
like the majority of the world, right? That's like, I mean, that's why people who are racist, again, they didn't grow up with anything else other than that.
Right. So when something crazy happens, I'm not like, oh, fuck that. That'll never happen. I'm like, I mean, I guess so. Especially nowadays with everything that's going on. I'm like, anything is possible.
I think anything is possible. Anything is possible. I think that it's wild to have a thought process of like, nope.
Well, I don't think a lot of people do, but when it really comes down to having the conversation about it, and if somebody doesn't understand it, then they're trying to justify it, and then they shoot it down because it's not capable of being done with what we already know when it comes to technology, or even if it's like just ways of thinking. If they have never thought about it, then it's like they're just like they try and find ways to justify their way out of it because, oh, it's because I was raised like this, so I'm never going to be able to think that way. No, that's not true. Like,
Right.
I think that way, so I guess you could too, you know, but it takes work, and you have to have, this is why meditation is so important, I think, of just like sitting with yourself and being like, what do I know? I don't really know
Well,
anything.
and to really, I think, just slow down like the working mind, like the part of your mind that's constantly just like on that, like, okay, work, here I am, life,
Mhm.
right? To slow that down, because we're not going to be able to connect to anything else, hear anything else, be aware of anything else, think that anything else is there if we're so stuck in that part of the mind. So that's where meditation, I think, is extremely important for everybody, because you need to quiet that part of the mind down so that you can actually try and see what else there is. You know, it's like when I do IFS, which is the internal family systems, and I'm having someone connect with a part of them, themselves, whether it's this anxiety part, overworking part, competitive part, they have to kind of get into this like meditative, like kind of, mindset, so that they can really start to listen and hone in on that part, not all the other noise that's there, on that one part, so that now I can better hear, understand, get information from, and then be able to better implement whatever it is that I need to be able to help you out, right? So it's like,
Yeah. Like we need to
in
do that
general.
on all levels
Mhm.
of society.
Right.
Like just, there's a lot going on these days. So you got to like kind of compartmentalize and focus on one thing at a time to really understand the big picture, I guess.
We do have to wrap up.
Okay. No, I did want to show you this one. This is what it's like, kind of like whatever. But it makes you think a little bit more. Now, this is something that is probably gonna seem crazy, and who knows? It could be fucking crazy and bullshit. But to me, it's like interesting to think about. So here we go.
The Book of Enoch describes exactly what happened to these giant ancient trees. Describes how these were cut down by the angels
Look at them.
to flood the Nephilim giants reaching 4,500 feet tall. And I believe once these trees were fell, the waters rushed out from below as the waters poured from above. The same can be seen today in the smaller trees. When their roots hit the underground water lines and they're chopped down, they will start gushing water like water fountains. Now imagine that with trees that stretched to the heavens. It says there were about 200 of these trees. And in the many years of looking into this, I would say that's about an accurate number. Perhaps even more. Many are still left to be uncovered, buried right beneath the surface of what we just think are nothing but hills. There was a reason why the Book of Enoch, along with 14 other books, were conveniently removed from today's version of the Bible. It painted a far too accurate picture of the true nature and history of this realm. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
So these are just like fun things and that I like to ponder. Like, okay, like they talk about Noah and the flood and stuff like that. These things do look like tree stumps.
They do look like tree
and
stumps.
in these books, they do talk about giants that lived among us. Now, this may be hundreds of millions of years ago or something crazy like that, right? But I don't know.
For me, I just love the ending of it, which is like question everything, which I think that that's an important piece of also like thinking for yourself, coming up with your own ideas, solutions, conclusions, whatever it may be. Question everything.
Now, this one is like super far-fetched for everyone because they're like, first off, that doesn't look like, it's like when you're close up to it, it's just a fucking mountain. But why is it so flat on top? Okay, I don't know. And why is there 200 of them? And then you think about, like you said, when you cut down a large tree that's like hooked in, there is water. I've seen this before, right? And imagine cutting all these down at the same time, and then you're flooding everything. And then you look at geologically, like the patterns of like these desert areas.
Mhm.
It's like water rushed in and covered it with sand from the ocean,
Yep.
and then washed back out. So maybe that's what covered the pyramids, and maybe they're fucking 50 stories high.
Stuff is so interesting.
And then that's why this podcast is so great. We mix this in, and it's like, okay, we just talked about some logical stuff a little while ago, but now don't believe anything we say because that's crazy, right?
I love it. I love that anything can be possible. That excites me.
Right. That's what I like about, our podcast. We talk about whatever, and some of it's silly or seems to be silly, and some of it is very logical and makes sense, and who cares? Who fucking cares? Fine. Then call me a conspiracy theory. I don't like to be put in a box. That's my thing.
Well, I think it's ridiculous too. Again, I think that people who have these thoughts, right, about the world or things that are happening, they automatically are going to be labeled as conspiracy theorists when they could also just be labeled as like, I don't know, like
Thinkers?
creative thinkers.
Yeah.
Like they just think outside the box.
Well, the reason why
They
people
question everything,
right,
which is what we should be doing anyway. The
reason people do this is because it makes their life easier. You're here in that box. This is my box. This is what I like to do, and this is what I know is true. And this person is in that Republican box, and this person is in the Democratic box. Okay, when I look at them, that's a Democrat, and that's all I see. When I look at that person, that's a conspiracy. So you just put everybody in these buckets, and when you look at them, you know how to talk to them, right? And this seems to be what emotional intelligence is these days. Like fake emotional intelligence, simplistic emotional intelligence of like, here's my boxes, and where does this guy doesn't really fit in any of these, but we'll just throw him in this box.
right.
And whenever I talk to him, that's what he is. That's the problem with communication in our society these days. Like, maybe some people are interested in this, but maybe it is bullshit, but they're also a freaking eye surgeon or whatever,
Yeah.
and they know a lot about that. And, who knows? But let people be who they want to be, and
Right.
nobody should go in any fucking box. So,
right. Or be judged for that. It's like,
yeah.
who cares?
Yeah. I don't know. I just see a lot of that, like, especially if you grew up with like people and they remember
They
you as
know
this
you
one
as
person,
something, yeah.
and then you're 30 years later, they still think of you like that, but there's so much evolution that happened over
Right.
that time, and they don't really know you, really.
Right. And because that, they would much rather just not admit the fact that they don't know you anymore.
Right.
They don't want to admit that.
Right.
So they just want to hold on to the fact that they know you. No. Let's not get it twisted. You knew me.
Yeah.
You knew who I was at one point in time, but like, I mean, I'm not staying the same. And if you are, then
right.
That's unfortunate.
Right. Okay. So that was a pretty good 100th episode.
100th episode. We finally did it. Finally made it. Gosh, now that's out the way.
Yeah. I really wanted to be some like crazy explosion thing with like fireworks and stuff like that, but it is what it is. We're working towards 300, so we got
Jesus
more,
Christ. Okay. All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of your day. Get ready for the week. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.
Yep. See you later.
Bye.
Hold on, I don't even know how to shut this off now.